Hello, I'd like to share with you a status update for the CS1 project. The CS1 project is a project that entails a game engine, an accompanying IDE, very early development phase, and also an admin app that helps you administrate games that are made with the game engine. So let's get started by looking at a few ways to prepare yourself. Uh, if you can make an account at GitHub, for example, at GitHub you can access all kind of code that is open source, and it's just a way to sign into Glitch. You can also sign into Glitch by using the Google sign-in, and also they have an email sign-in technique. I will introduce you to a little bit.ly I put together as well to basically facilitate quick remixes, which are kind of like copies of the game engine. And as well as the game engine, you also get a copy of the demo project, which you can use to build up from and edit and really make your own. So I'm looking at Glitch right now. Let's just take a look over here at Glitch. And we'll see what I was just talking about there. There's 3 projects. I'm hosting them at Glitch. They're also at GitHub. Here you can make copies of them very easily. You can also, of course, fork them at GitHub, which is another way of making a copy. Here's the game engine. It's called CS1. Here's the IDE. It's called CS1 IDE. And here's the admin application. At this point, the CS1 game engine and the admin app are both PWAs. That means you can install them. You can install them on your laptop or desktop. You can install them on a mobile phone. And they will run pretty much like a native application does. Become very convenient. And they will complement each other. The CS1 game engine, of course, is where you make your game. And then whatever application you come up with as a result could also be played like even on an Oculus Quest, for example, in VR. So let's go ahead and just like go through this process. I also put together a few other things I had mentioned. I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at a slide presentation that I use. I teach high school. And as part of this program, the CS1 program, I make these little bit.lys that are convenient for people to access certain aspects of the program. So one of those is this CS1 remix. So if you look at this particular slide, you'll see that as long as you set up a Glitch account, then you can just run this remix. Matter of fact, if you bookmark this bit.ly CS1 remix, you can use this bookmark over and over again to quickly just make another copy of the game engine, and you would automatically just be able to get up and running. I like to change my name, or the name of the project, excuse me, and then add an admin key in the .env file. I'll take you through all of this. Okay, let's actually just dive into that. So right off the bat, bit.ly CS1 remix, CS1 hyphen remix, technically. So let me just go ahead and jump into that so you can see what happens when you do that. So provided that you have set up your GitHub account or signed into perhaps Glitch with Google or through email, as long as you're basically signed into Glitch, when you do the remix, it will automatically make a copy of the game engine and the base project. And that's what you see right here. This is a new copy of the game engine along with the base project or the demo. All right. Right over here is where you can rename it. So I'm just going to make it a little shorter right here. I will call it, let me see, what should I call it? Maybe Saturn 5. Okay, I'm going to call it Saturn 5. And then down here is a file called .env. In this file, we're going to add an admin key. I'm just going to temporarily make a short admin key, say it's 444. And that will be basically our password. And then we can manage this and other application related things using the admin app. So we can go ahead and actually install the admin app. If you're in Google Chrome, it's really easy. If you go over to, and I'll just go ahead and pull that up. I think I have it right here. Yep. So the next thing is if you go to cs1-admin.glitch.me, you can log into the admin app using the name of the project and the admin key that you just made. So I just named this project Saturn 5, and I just put the admin key of 444. So if I go to CS1 and then -admin.glitch.me, it will load up the admin app, and I can log in with, in this case, Saturn 5, right? And then 444 is what I made as the password, 444, enter. And once I've done that, I have the basic admin app, which is very early in the development as well. But for right now, you can at least manage the users on the system, and you can see who's currently playing. We're going to have a lot more to this later. But for right now, if I click here, it populates it with just a little starter name. I'd say I wanted to say it was Mike. And then maybe I don't want to take this little fill in and make it just 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I've done so far is I've specified a name for a new account, and I've specified a password. Now I can click right here to actually make that a reality. So it will actually save a new user account and password to this to the database. So that has been done, as we can see here. Let me add one more. I might as well use Wendy as the name, and then I'll use 1, 2, 3, 4 over again, and we'll save Wendy to the database, and it's as easy as that. Now, in the browser, if you go up into basically the URL of the browser basically web address, you can see up there, there is a, you can click, there's like a plus sign, you can click to install the admin app, and then you can, if you click that plus sign and install it, it will run like a native app almost on your system. Just be a little bit more convenient as well. So let's just say, okay, I've added 2 accounts. I've set this admin app up. Now, what if I want to learn more about the kind of like using the game engine? So that's where we go to the IDE to kind of get a little bit of training with it. So let me just actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this admin app login. I'm going to log in with my, just to show you, I have it down here installed, and I can go literally over here with the admin app and log in again with the installed version, Saturn 5, and what was that, 444? And see it loaded properly there. If I wanted to add yet another user, I could add, let's just say Mindy, and give a password 1, 2, 3, 4, and add another player. So right there, you can add another player. We can get rid of users if we want to. We can modify their passwords after the fact. We can even change the admin password here if we wanted to. All right, so let's actually go to the IDE next. So if we go back to Chrome over here, let's open up the IDE. How do we get to that? Well, we just go over to this URL. So https cs1ide.glitch.me, and this will take us to the IDE where you can learn a little bit more about the a little bit more about programming in general, and then also about just web development and also the use of the engine, obviously. So let me just go over here and pull up the IDE. Now I log into the IDE with the Saturn 5, again, the name of the project and the password 444. And here's the IDE loading up. I currently have 14 starter lessons in here. The first lesson is really just basic stuff, but it's good. If you haven't been too much involved in coding, or never. And you can just go through this section over here, maximize that, go through the lessons. It will give you information about all the basics. And then it instructs you here to go ahead and code some stuff over here. Say I wanted to code something. I'm going to code something a little bit different than what it says here, but like CS1, whoops, CS1 log, and I'll put hello. And I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it better. So this is kind of like, here's what I typed in over here in the logs. In the code editor. I just added this line here. It says cs1.log hello, and it's a convenient API for just logging things in the world. There's a little log screen built into the world that you can keep or take out if you want to. So I can click save right here and click build right next to it, and it will build the remote project. It's going to compile it. I'm going to bring down the size on this again. So this building remote project will stay like this until it's completed. Once it's completed, which it has without a problem, now we can go and launch the game. Let's go ahead and launch the game here, and let's actually do it this way. Let me make this a little smaller. Let's open up the admin app again and make that maybe smaller this time. I'll move that over to the side. And let me open another thing to it, another window, Saturn 5.glitch.me. So I've already made a couple accounts, so we can kind of illustrate how this is already multiplayer right off the bat. So right now you see I have an account Mike, an account Wendy, and the passwords are both 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I log in over here with Mike, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see now that
welcome to CS1 Community Park. Please join us at 9 p.m. for some tasty roasted marshmallow s'mores.
Okay, so you can see here's the log screen, and here's where it says hello. All right, so I'll just move over here. There we go. I'll turn that down a little bit. And I'll log in now, and you can see over here it says currently playing Mike. So you can monitor this on your phone, for example, or some other place as you're playing, or just seeing who's playing your game. In the future, I'll add a lot more interaction, so you can actually interact with players playing the game from the admin app. But right now, let me just go ahead and log in with, let's say, Wendy. Wendy, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so here's Wendy.
Wendy has joined the game.
And
Welcome
Wendy's
to
looking
CS1 Community
at Mike
Park.
right now.
Please
So
join us at 9 p.m. for some tasty roasted
okay,
marshmallow
we can have Wendy change her character avatar if we press the back tick, which is the back quote key. You can go over here and select another avatar, for example. Press the back quote again to kind of come out of there, and you can see that 2 different avatars. So there's the one avatar, there's another avatar, and there's a third avatar in there. I have tutorials, other ones online, how to make avatars. But so that's a little functionality of it. Of course, if one player uses that, this is just a little example component. This is a jukebox component. So if I played this, it would play in both games because it's multiplayer, obviously. Okay, so you can see that. You can even see some things logging out over here. It's saying kind of like who was playing what song, somebody paused the jukebox, Wendy's playing Sucker Remix, Wendy paused the jukebox. So that's just a convenient place to print out some logs of different things. All right, so you can see it's just running off the bat. Now, say I wanted to go back to the IDE and maybe learn some more. So let's just go ahead and close that up right now. Maybe I'll close the other one up.
Mike has packed up and headed for home.
And if I do that, for example, I could literally go over here and see that currently playing is now showing nobody, because nobody is currently playing. So that's all been resolved appropriately with the admin app. But let's go ahead and look one more time here in the the lessons. So in this lesson, you go through and kind of follow it, and you get the expected result based upon what the lesson was about. But in addition to that, you can also click over on the check mark. You can get a basic kind of check for your understanding, see if you got the basic ideas that were intended. And you can submit this. Let's just say you answered this. Purpose of variables: store and track information. Naming a variable poorly will always cause a syntax error. That's not necessarily true. Matter of fact, all of these answers right here are valid reasons to perform logging. Common type of a build time error is a syntax error. Which one's not a keyword for declaring a variable in JavaScript? That would be this one. And which is not a proper assignment symbol in JavaScript? And that would be this. If I click submit, then you can go and you can view the accuracy of your results, and you can see you've got them all right here. You can just do it as many times as necessary till you get it right. It's just a way to check for your understanding. Go to a different lesson. This one is dealing with a different part of the code. Right here, different sections will perhaps deal with different parts of the code. Now, if it doesn't sync up correctly, there's a current kind of, I guess, issue that I posted in the GitHub issues about sometimes there's a disconnection that occurs with the IDE, and if it is building or it depends on the state, it won't always update things properly. So you may have to, at this point, maybe refresh the IDE, and then we'll eventually kind of resolve this. But the current state is you might have to refresh the IDE, because when I went to this this lesson, lesson 3, for example, lesson 3 should go and load up this section of code, because lesson 3 deals with JavaScript object notation, or JSON, and this is talking about its relevance basically to this project and in general. So it talks about JSON, talks about its use in the game engine, and gives you some little practice to do. And you can go ahead and code it. Now over here, you could actually change the name of the game if you want to, just right off the bat. Here's just some quick things you can change. What if we called it My Game? Really not that interesting, but I'm just going to say that. What if we change the welcome message to here to be you are very welcome to join us for fireworks tonight. And you can even change the character that's saying it and get onto the voice. This is just a little config file, and you can actually change. So I'll change this to the Susan voice, and then I can, over here in the top right, I'll make it bigger so you can see. In the top right, I'll click the little icon that looks like basically a little diskette, and then I'll click the little wrench and build, and it will build a project again. I'll make this smaller once more. And we'll just wait for that to build, and we'll see the little change that was a consequence of changing this client configuration file. And it's done building. Go to launch, and we'll see the little difference. You can see the name of the game right here, My Game. You can see when I log in, the voice will have changed, and it will have a different welcome message.
You are very welcome to join us for fireworks tonight.
Okay, so there you had a different voice, a different welcome message. All right, so maybe go through one little additional thing, one or two. Let's see here. Maybe go to this lesson here. Let me add. So if you wanted to make a component, and let's just say that you want to make a component in the game engine. It's built on A-frame. So A-frame is an entity component system. So how would I make a component? This is the basic structure of a component. Doesn't have all the possible parts, but that's a basic kind of layout. What if I wanted to make a component that makes a, let's just say that it makes a, what will it make? component will make whatever you have a certain color, and it will make it, I don't know, let's just say, I'll do this one. We'll call this one low color, and we'll generalize it a little bit. And we'll make it so if you move the thing around low, it will turn a certain color. If you grab it and move it high, it will be a different color. So let's go ahead and add a dependency for this. This is another thing you can add in a component. So if I put a dependency and basically make a little array in here, and maybe I can make it dependent on another component that I put together before, based on another community member's component, grabbable, and I make it depend on grabbable and make it depend on some color. We'll have it as the default red. So what we'll do here is we'll add an additional section called tick, so we can check things over time, and we'll add the tick function here. The tick function can take or can provide you with, for example, the total time elapsed in the game and the time since the last frame, the DT since the last frame. I'm not going to use those now, but I'll just leave that in there to remind you of that. Let's just say that we wanted to do this if-else kind of structure. So if I say if something is true, we're going to do something, else we're going to do something else. And here's the thing. We're going to check if this dot L dot object 3D, we're going to check if the object 3D will check the position dot Y, and if it's less than 1.5, then we will make the color whatever the color is up there. So let's go ahead and reference that. We'll say that, whoops, excuse me, lost my fingers there on there. This dot L dot set attribute, and we're just going to use the built-in color component, and we're going to set it to this. I can put a space here, make it look a little nicer. This dot data dot color, and that accesses the schema value for color. If they passed it in, if somebody used it and passed it in, it would be whatever they passed in. If they didn't do anything, or if they chose red, it will be red. And then down here, we'll go ahead and do the else block, and we'll add the else block in just like this. Literally, it's the same thing, except we'll just change the color. Otherwise, we'll make it the second color. Maybe we'll always make it yellow. Let's say it's going to be, yeah, we'll just say it's going to be yellow. It's kind of like the color when it's higher than 1.5. I guess equal to, or greater or equal to 1.5. So this is pretty much a simple component that will make the color a certain color when it's low, when it's less than a certain height. Otherwise, it'll be another color. Let's see how we can use this in the top section. At the game start, this is the game start handler. So this is run one time at the beginning of the game. So I can make like a sphere, let's say. Say I said over here, const, and what color are we gonna make it? Or I'll just say sphere for right now. Const sphere equals document, and we'll make a sphere. Create element. We'll make it an A sphere. And now that we've created that, we can now kind of do some stuff to it. We can set an attribute on that. We can set that sphere to, let's say, let's just add our low color component that we just built. And we have to pass in at least an empty string for the data that we're passing into it. I'm going to actually set the color on it, I guess. Set a color for, I don't know, pink. So if I set, oops, pink. So I'll set the color to pink, and we'll see what goes, see if that flies or not. And then we'll take the sphere and we'll set, so we'll go to the object 3D. Whoops. Go to the object 3D, we'll go to the position, and we'll set it at, let's just say, -5, comma 2, comma, let's go -16. All right. So we'll go ahead and place it off in the distance a little bit, and then we'll add it to the scene. How do we add it to the scene? We'll go CS1 scene, append child, and we'll go ahead and append the sphere to the scene. Now that we've done that, let's talk about what we've done. We created a sphere. We added the low color component that we made down here, which will change the color to the specified color when it's below a certain the value of 1.5. Otherwise, it will be yellow. We made it dependent on grabbable so that we can actually grab it and we can pick it up and down. So we can see that this actually works. We set it over here. I didn't set a default color on it because this will automatically set it to yellow at the beginning because we set the height to 2. So this will take care of setting the color initially to yellow, and then we add it to the scene. So we can go ahead and save that and build it and see if we have any errors. If I type something wrong, I apologize, but I make errors all the time. And that's just part of part of the game of developing. So it's still building. There it is, it's done. Let's see what we get as a result. And we'll go into the modified game and see what we got. So let's click login. Now we have, oops, there's something wrong. It built, but it broke. So what was the problem? If I go over to Option Command J, let's see what the problem is. I pressed Option Command J, and there seems to be an issue. Cannot read property Y of undefined. So I must have typed position in wrong or something like that. So let me look. So this is a runtime error. Let me go over here. Did I type position wrong somewhere? Position. Oh my gosh, look at that. I misspelled position. Oh goodness. So if I go down here, I can see, yep, I misspelled position, all right. Position. P-O-S-I. Position. Is that right? I think we're right now. Now I can go ahead. So it passed the build test. In other words, there were no syntax errors, but it did not find that property, and it had a runtime error. So there we solve that problem. Talking to the computer via the logs and the errors, that's just part of the whole process of development. You just got to get used to that. So looks like this is built again, and I can go back in. Maybe it will run this time because I maybe didn't spell something wrong. I'm going to go in, and there it looks like it might be working. So now we can go over to the sphere.
You are very welcome to join us for fireworks tonight.
And here we go. Now I'm going to grab it. Do I get grabbable? Did I? Look at that. It's not. See, it's not grabbing it. So if I look up right now, it looks fine. It's yellow like we expect. But if I go over here and do, let me just do A-frame component dependencies. We can take a look right over here, A-frame component, and then we'll see the dependency section. Now down here, let me just go Command F and search for dependencies. And did I type something wrong? Dependencies, and then put the dependencies in an array. And that looked fine. Did I misspell grabbable? Let me see. Oh, dependencies. Look at that. See? Look at that. That's a logic error right there. It didn't throw any error, but that was a logic error. I was thinking that it was dependency. It's dependencies. So this is a perfect example of fixing the mistakes. So go in here and just change this to dependencies and save and build and wait for it to build. Now, hopefully, this time, just look it up in in the docs. I could have looked that up before. I'm always making those little blunders like that. Dependency versus dependencies. Looks like it's built. It might work. Will it? Hopefully. Fingers crossed. There we go. Let's see. Sorry, don't need that.
You are very welcome to join us for fireworks.
Here we go. Look at that. See? Pink, yellow. Pink when it's down low, yellow when it's high. If it goes below 1.5, it goes pink. Otherwise, it's yellow. I can carry it around. Take it down below there, it gets pink. So, interesting, you know, whatever. Maybe this is... So let me just make one more little addition to this just so I can show you another thing. I'm just going to add one more thing to this. Low color. I'm going to also add another dependency of, rather than grabbable, I'll have something else that has grabbable. I'm going to make it launchable. I'll make it launchable. Instead of grabbable dependency, I'll make it launchable. And launchable already depends on grabbable. But with launchable, you get to throw it or launch it, hence the name. And then we'll finish with this. Okay? So just to give you a little bit of a different, I know this is a kind of like a trivial component, but here's an idea of, you know, making a component if you've never made a component. So it looks like it's built. Now I can refresh this and we'll see if I type that in correctly. And go ahead and submit that. Oops. Give me a second to get booted from the server. There we go. Now let me go in. When the socket disconnects, it actually, the server gives you 5 seconds to reconnect. So there we got our, it's working. Now watch if I launch this up into the sky. Whew, there it goes. Off into the heavens. I launched it because I added a launchable dependency. So that's pretty much it. You can look around here. We'll finish with a song and say goodbye, but it's been nice. If you've made it this far in the video, you're awesome. You're the greatest. Got a little potion here for you. Take that, have a little drink of potion, and have a good evening.